The Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
Qui sont ces gens et pourquoi suis-je là? Les winemakers.
Multitasking. She's multitasking. She's a mom.
Could you hear that was delicious Mount Eaton Vineyards Chardonnay? Could you hear that?
It sounded like Santa Cruz Mountains.
We don't know if it's delicious.
It's got that very, very
we gotta try it
specific
first.
tonality, knowing that it's the Santa Cruz Mountains.
That gravelly voice that you hear is Chris McGilvray.
You got it right. and now for the rest of the show, we can just call me Chris.
You just call me Chris. It's all good, man.
Right. Chris's sound guy is already mad at him for not getting his face in the microphone.
Am I the sound guy?
No,
my sound guy. Yeah, Michael, I'm sorry, bud. I'm blowing it already on my sound.
Chris McGilvray is a filmmaker who made a movie about Mount Eden Vineyards, which is why we have the Mount Eden Vineyards wine.
Yes, thank God. Shout out to Bottle Barn because
when did you like literally get these on the way to work this morning? Because I was last night laying in bed going, where in Sonoma can I get a bottle of Mount Eden Vineyards wine before 11 o'clock on my way to work?
I know. I checked it out yesterday because I was thinking, we never really talked about wine. And then when I looked online, the closest place that I could get it was Roseville. I don't even know where Roseville is, but it sounded
on the other side of Napa. It's like
sounded far away.
Right? Yeah.
So then I reached out to Barry at Bottle Barn. Shout out Barry. He said say hello to everybody. And they had some of the not only the Mount Eden, but they had some of the Domain Eden Chardonnay, which is kind of like their non-estate thing. And I didn't even look for Pinot because fuck Pinot. I just grabbed the Chardonnay and the Cab. I heard the Pinot's really good, actually.
All three of their wines are absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
for those
and you and I were talking.
And the Domain Eden are also great.
Yeah, so Barry, who runs Bottle Barn, said bang for buck. The Domain Eden wines are outstanding.
They over deliver, man.
Totally.
They're fantastic. It's the old Cinnabar property. You ever heard of Cinnabar?
So Barry it must have been like a big fan because he then stopped me in the store and was going on and on about the history of the family and how he'd been up there 3 or 4 times. And he was saying Cinnabar. And if you grew up in Petaluma, Cinnabar was a theater that was off of Petaluma Boulevard. And I'd never heard anyone use that word in any other context. But he was talking exactly about that.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. I mean, my parents grew up on drinking Cinnabar.
I don't know. It sounds so much like Cinnabon.
It does. That's all I'm thinking about.
Making me hungry.
I'm gonna have to Google. I think it's a soil series, or
is it? Oh, wow. I have actually no idea where they came up with the name Cinnabar. Is this a series?
Well, Danielle, did you watch the movie?
I did watch the movie.
Okay, cool. So all 3 of us have actually seen the film.
Woo! There we go.
Yeah.
We're off to a great start. Love it. I just did a podcast with a guy and watched it. And that's
I did my homework.
Well, it didn't say in the film, but I just learned this morning by listening to something else that you spent 7 years up there. Is that wait? Is that true?
It is, man. I spent 7 years tracking that story. It evolved so much over the.
There was definitely some twists.
There's some twists, which it's better to not tell people.
No spoilers.
No spoilers here.
We have to be real film reviewers.
But does the place burn down at the end?
Yes.
Which cut did I send you?
That's the sequel.
I totally forgot.
Knock on wood. That's not even funny.
No, man, it's not actually.
No. That's shit's real.
Yeah, totally. It gets real quick.
Yeah.
It gets real dark, guys.
Yeah.
No, so it evolved so much over the
What
years
made you want to do the Mount Eden property? Because when we were talking to you a little bit before we started the podcast, I mean, you're living in Santa Cruz. Yep. You obviously have a love of Santa Cruz wines. So what made Mount Eden special for you that you wanted to do a 7-year film project?
So I got to take you guys back to like 2015.
Please do.
I do promotional films.
That would be amazing.
That's a great magical back to 2015. I do promotional films for a living, and I got hired by the Santa Cruz Mountain Wine Growers Association to make a promotional film for them about the 2015 vintage and tracking the vintage with 4 separate wineries. And so that's Mount Eden, it was Ridge, it was Thomas Fogarty, and it was Storrs. And at the time, I didn't know anything about wine. I mean, I loved agriculture. I absolutely loved like fresh fruit, and I liked wine, but I wasn't intellectually engaged in it in any way, shape, or form. And so I got to spend this whole year basically documenting that vintage and walking around with, you know, Paul Draper from, you know, Ridge Vineyards, and Jeffrey Patterson from Mount Eden. And like, it was such a cool way to be able to get an insight into what's exciting about wines. We spent so much time out in the vineyards, and I fell in love with it. And so, you know, I didn't forget that. And a couple of years later, I was thinking about making my first feature-length documentary, which became Eden. And there's something about Mount Eden that really jumps out at you, because especially at that time, they didn't even have a tasting room. There was no tasting room at Mount Eden. And we're talking 2017. 2017.
When you started the project.
When I started the project. 2017, it was not available for tastings. Now it is for semi-private tastings, but it's only during the week. And it's literally, you drive up this like, you know, 2.5 mile dirt road, and you're only like 15 minutes away from like the Apple campus, like the heart of Silicon Valley, and like, you know, the forefront of technology and futurism. And you drive up about, you know, 1,500 to 1,700 feet to the mountains up above it. And it's like, you are trapped in time, man. I feel like that's what it would have been like to go and visit a California winery in the 70s or the 80s. Because it's like, that's just what it feels like. It's like a house, and it's a working winery, and it's not like, you know, a hospitality situation in any way, shape, or form. And it's surrounded by the vineyards, and it's so beautiful. And so I instantly had this like nostalgia for, wow, that would have been cool to be able to see what this stuff would have been like, you know, back in the 70s or the 80s.
Well, I mean, the shots of the vineyard and the property and
the views.
And then it's totally striking to see the expanse of Silicon Valley out beyond this, you know, totally secluded place up.
How long? Wild. So here's a question that I was thinking about during the film, and maybe this is just because I'm a winemaker, and so I have to drive up long mountain roads.
Lots of mountain roads.
But how long is that drive from?
How many sets of tires did you go through?
So ironically,
if you do it safely.
Like, you know, we're not going to blow a tire and fly off the edge here.
And if we're not dusting up the vines.
Totally, we're not dusting up all the vines. 5
miles an hour, Danielle. Phil's going to get mad at you.
Now I really have to like think through the context. I don't do it safely, and I probably do dust up the vines. You know, it's actually only about 10 minutes from downtown Saratoga, which is what's so fascinating about it, is that it's like directly up above all of this stuff. And so you're in this very agrarian rural moment, sitting on top of, you know, this incredible suburban and, you know, technological expanse that is now known as Silicon Valley. And, you know, you got to realize that before Silicon Valley, before like, you know, the 80s, that was considered the Valley of Heart's Delight. It was all agriculture.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like apricots, it was like plums, and it was some of the best like agriculture that we actually had in our whole country. And the truth is that all of that agriculture has now disappeared because that dirt is worth a lot more as, you know, a corporate offices,
server farms,
homes and headquarters,
server farms, and you know, whatever AI generation machines and whatever. And very, very expensive homes. Right. And the only thing that's actually left to connect us to that, you know, sort of agricultural roots is the fine wine. And part of that is because it's up in the Santa Cruz Mountains that are like, no matter what happens in this world, we're never going to fully be able to develop the Santa Cruz Mountains. Like when you go to the Santa Cruz Mountains, you can visit like maybe 2 wineries in the day, because even though like you have Mount Eden on the top of one ridge and you look over and the next ridge over is literally called Ridge Vineyards. It's about an hour to be able to drive down the road, go through the back
That's
road,
what Barry
and
was
then come
talking
back
about.
up, man. And so it's like, and most like the average acre size of a vineyard is like 6 acres in the Santa Cruz
You
Mountains.
can only find 6 flat acres.
That's
But
right.
the piece of
The
property
plan
has
is-
like
that's right,
45
man. That's
or
totally right.
100
Well,
acres.
if you're wine tasting correctly, I feel like you should really only do 2 wineries because you need a lunch and a nap in between the 2, and then you go out to dinner later.
As long as one of them's ours, I don't care.
Totally. Do you want them to start with yours or end with yours? That's the big question.
Honestly, I like being the second on a third, on a second,
Second on a third.
Second on a third?
on a 3 winery stop.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Because the third is always
That's the
too
sweet
much
spot,
and you burn
yeah.
out.
Yeah, and the first one you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to like spend it all here before I get to the next place. You know, you see what they got the next place.
The second one you're ready to spend, you're
It's
ready
the
to
sweet
get
spot,
into
yeah.
it. You're like, if this trip's going to be good, this is where it's got to be
Really,
good.
probably shouldn't be like revealing these trade secrets. To
Whatever AI would tell
Come
you
on
anyway.
in. You know, we'll love to see it about 1 o'clock.
Totally.
With a light lunch.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've always thought like in making a wine or vineyard documentary that you have to at least go a full season, and you have shots from pruning through bottling and everything in there. At what point did you realize it was a 7-year project? Like, what made that? I mean, and obviously, again, the development of everything that's going on with the vineyard and the family and the brand as you're there, obviously, sort of.
So
right?
like what I would say happened is I went in and I didn't necessarily have a great idea of what I was doing. I'm not gonna, say that I did. I knew that I admired this winery. I admired their wine. And one of the things that I was really excited about, a lot of people don't know about, is the tremendous amount of hard work that goes into being able to produce these wines, and especially with a mountain vineyard. And so I was like, all right, I want to basically track the vintage of 2017 and show all of the different steps of that labor that goes into being able to produce these top tier wines. I also wanted to track the progression of the actual vines and how they experience the year. And that was a really cool idea. And we did some interviews, with Jeffrey, the winemaker, and, Ellie, who's his wife, who runs the business. And they were all good interviews, but they were always speaking from a position of brand. They were representing Mount Eden Vineyards.
Right.
And so it was hard to be able to get personal. And turn them, really sort of explore their personal identities. And so we spent this whole year doing this, and I, got in and started editing it. And one of the things that I realized, like, dude, the footage is beautiful and the film is gorgeous, but there's no like human emotion and story here. And just at that point, when I was like, oh man, okay, we've got this cool experiential thing.
Promotional video, essentially.
Pretty
for
much.
Eden
It was
Vineyard.
like a promotional video. And I was like, that's not what we wanted to do. And right at that point, Ellie gave me a call, and she was like, hey, our son, Reed, has decided to come back. So you should probably, come out and meet him and interview him because, he can be part of the story. And I'm like, okay. So at the time, Reed was like 25, and he'd been away at, San Luis Obispo. He had gotten off of the mountain, didn't want to have anything to do with the winemaking, actually started a coffee business down in San Luis Obispo. And he decided to come back and give it a shot.
And I want to talk coffee with him after watching the film.
Yeah.
No, man,
he was
he's like
drinking
a
those
serious
espressos. I was
coffee
like,
dude.
fuck, I want to go hang out with
Yeah,
and drink some
Reed
coffee.
is like super serious with his coffee.
Danielle,
man.
does he have the most beautiful blue eyes you've ever seen in your
They're
life?
pretty beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That alone should
didn't ask me
encourage
that
you to come
question.
see the
I-
film.
I was lost in his eyes.
Dude,
my God.
well, there's something about him. It's like that interview with him, like in the blue
Yeah.
sweatshirt. That was like one of the first times I'd ever met Reed. And we sat down and started talking, and it's like, he was like an open book. He's very much into his process and how he makes sense of his identity. And that got really, really interesting really quick because it started being this film that was now a study of what happens when you have a family run business and you're trying to pass it on in a succession. And, shortly after Reed came back, his older sister, Sophie, also came back. And so now you have like the two generations trying to figure out how to be able to pass it on and successfully navigate this succession story. While at the same time dealing through all their personal issues that they have, because they are a family that, every family has personal issues. And you combine that with the tremendous challenges of running a winery in California right now.
Sam, is this speaking to you at all?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have no idea where I'm going.
No, it's so weird. Must be harder in the Santa Cruz Mountains than here, clearly.
Because it's smooth sailing right here. It's been so easy. Totally.
It truly is a movie about the succession story, though, of how, and it's not even the money involved, but it was like, how am I transferring this passion on and trusting that the next generation's gonna have that same passion? Or do you let them just fuck up like we were allowed to fuck up when we first took it over and let them find their way?
I love that introspection that the father does.
Or do you look over their shoulder the whole time and tell them, maybe you should do this?
Well,
maybe
the
you should
stakes
do
were a lot lower when they were fucking up.
Yeah. Right. I think that's a big part of it. I
speak from experience.
Right? Because it's like, back in the day, so, Jeffrey and Ellie got there in 1981. Right. And they literally, they had no money. Jeffrey had worked, I don't even think he'd worked in the wine industry. I think he had taken some wine classes or whatever.
Yeah, he was, I think maybe San Luis Obispo, but then UC Davis, as he had said he'd gone to Davis.
So he went to Berkeley. Okay, and Berkeley, then he was doing some classes at Davis, and he'd been a home winemaker. And so he knew he wanted to make wine. That was his passion. But I just mean he didn't have very much experience. And so he gets up there, and you got to understand, Mount Eden was planted in 1944, and we could spend forebber talking about what happens between 1944.
I mean, I had no idea the connection to Paul Masson and the way that whole. I mean, so don't spend forever, but I do talk.
You want to hear?
A little bit on it, because
sure.
And adds to me context of like what's going on with the Patterson family now. That there's not a lot of places in California that have
that kind of
heritage going back to names like Paul Masson and Martin Ray and before.
Almaden.
Almaden Vineyards. Right. So I mean, I'll try and give you the quick high level version, which is super complicated to be able to do, but basically it has a direct lineage that goes all the way back to Charles Lafranc and Almaden Vineyards, which we're talking San Jose, planted in probably like the 1840s or something like that. Paul Masson shows up from Burgundy, and he gets there in the 1880s, I think, and he ends up marrying Charles Lafranc's daughter, and so then he gets hooked into Almaden Vineyards and starts to actually make the wine there. And then Charles Lafranc actually dies in like a crazy horse carriage accident, as would happen in like the 1880s.
Yeah.
Totally
in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
It's like going down the mountain too quick, and he's doing it on his horse and carriage, and that didn't work out. That poor guy. So anyway, pretty soon Paul Masson realizes that he's ready to, plant his own vineyard. And so he goes and plants the Paul Masson winery, and decides to make sparkling wine out of it. And he becomes sort of the first California celebrity. Like, he's the first, California wine celebrity where people actually know his name, even if they don't know anything about
it's the
wine,
Paul Masson is the like Orson Welles getting wasted
to
film a commercial, right? That's Paul Masson.
That is Paul Masson,
and I think it was called the Champagne House, like
that's
where he was.
No
it
rules.
Back then you could call it champagne. I mean, I call it California sparkling wine.
You were very careful
I'm being
that
PC. I'm being PC here, guys. Trying to be cool.
Keep those corporate.
I don't want any. I don't want any cease and desist letters coming anybody's way here, man. But so anyway, he goes and plants that, and then he becomes famous, and this kid growing up in the neighborhood, his name is Martin Ray, just wanders up there. And at this point, we're talking like, it's now the 1930s probably. And you got to understand, and, out in San Jose, this is like super rural. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of farms and stuff. There's hardly anything out there. And so he got interested, Martin Ray did, and was like, wow, Paul, this is kind of cool. And then he decides to leave and becomes like a stockbroker or whatever, and loses everything in the Great Depression, comes back, and somehow right after Prohibition, Paul Masson's now in his 70s, and Martin's like, I want to buy, Paul Masson from you. And Paul's like, wait a minute, you don't want to buy my property. What I would do if I were your age is I would actually go and plant on the next ridge over, and plant, all my vines there, because I think that's a better place to actually grow grapes. And Martin Ray's like, dude, no, this is way too much. I need something that exists. I can work with a fully existing winery and make that work. And so he did that for multiple years, and then ended up selling it to Seagram's, the Canadian whiskey company. And then that's when the Paul Masson, they stopped purchasing fruit from that actual vineyard, started getting it from all over the place, and then pretty soon
hired Orson Welles.
Table wine. Yeah, and they hired Orson Welles to take, basically paychecks so that he could make his cool artistic projects, because Orson Welles would do any kind of paycheck he could to be able to make his cool films, because Hollywood had written him off, and he, would literally just take those paychecks and make cool movies.
Get drunk on camera.
But anyway, so Martin Ray ends up actually doing what Paul Masson initially recommended, which is going and planting what becomes Mount Eden on the next ridge
with
over.
The Seagram's money.
Yeah, with the Seagram's money.
Right.
And so, like, dude, think about how hard it would be to plant a mountain vineyard in like 1943 with no roads, like clear cutting all the trees and crazy stuff. That's Mount Eden, man.
I love the shot that you have of, I think it's Martin Ray, when he's in the winery and he's obviously tasting out of the big vat barrels, and he has no shirt on.
Oh, totally.
And it looks like linen overall pants. And I was like, that used to be winemaking? That's awesome.
Yeah. Totally.
That wardrobe.
No. We could bring that back. That could be a thing now. I don't know. Yeah. That's just like what, winemakers do now.
Well, and I loved how when you tell the story in the film, you have the maps that you're showing. That was one of my, I was about to that you kind of shots. Overlay over time. That was a great visual
like vineyard. That was awesome.
So representation that was of the growth. And then how long it took for them to plant the vineyard over time.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting process, finding those photographs, because during COVID, a department at UC Santa Barbara decided to digitize all of these like aerial photographs that the US government had actually taken of California, and create this database where it's like a fully interactive map, and you can actually go through and look around and see all of the different.
Wait, how do you get access?
Yeah, I was going to say, I just lost the rest of my afternoon.
I'll send it to you afterwards. I don't remember what it's called. But obviously did it during the research, and it is so fascinating because you can literally be like, oh, I want to see what it looks like in the 40s. Here's what it looks like in the 50s. Here's one from the 70s. And it's literally almost like the same exact framing. And, they did such a good job of being able to document that progression of the land and how we developed it. Yeah. I mean, for any person who's into vineyard culture,
vineyards and
history,
maps and mountains,
you guys are going to lose your mind. It's so fascinating. And they're super high resolution.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah. So that stuff is all real, and it's just a resource that's sitting out there. And that's a positive COVID story. There we go. That's like something good that came from not getting to hang out with people, and
dive into aerial photos of California.
What happened to Martin Ray? Is he still around?
Oh my goodness!
The brand still exists.
The brand does. Yeah,
I think the winery is in
Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa.
They just bought it. I mean, Man, how can I tell the not complicated version of Martin Ray and not offend people? I'll try and do a really, really simple. I'm a filmmaker. I'm not a winemaker. I'm going to fully say that as my, fair disclosure. But basically, he was a very interesting winemaker in the sense that he's one of the first people that pushed single varietal winemaking, like literally in the world. I mean, at that point, even, Burgundy was Burgundy, Bordeaux was a Bordeaux blend. People were not thinking about like, hey, this is my Cabernet. Like Martin Ray was one of the first people that started to push, like this is a Pinot Noir. This is, a Cabernet Sauvignon. And so he was a very innovative winemaker. I think he was very inconsistent. Apparently, the wines were either absolutely dynamite, some of the best wines you've ever had, or just some absolutely terrible wines, because he was always trying to innovate and change. There was like insane vintage variation. Like there's stories of like somebody came to his house once and he was literally cooking the wine, hoping to see that was gonna, right? Like I don't.
He's a mad scientist.
He was a mad scientist
making wine with his nips out.
And he got making wine with his nips out, and he did not have a CFO. We'll put it that way. He was definitely making some super funky deals to be able to, try and expand his vineyard holdings. And it got to the point where like he just kept, basically selling off pieces of his company in order to get some capital to be able to plant vineyards. And they were all just crazy deals. And so it got to the point where like everybody had like, I don't know, 6 to 8% of the company. Everybody was losing money. People wanted to get liquid. Nobody knew how to get out. And so they kicked Martin Ray out. And this is by now is like the early 70s. And between, whenever that happened, like 73 until 81, they went through like 8 winemakers. Like a different winemaker came in every single vintage. But some like
San Francisco Giants left fielders.
Yeah, like dude, like Mary Edwards. Mary Edwards was a winemaker. Fred Peterson. And like really, really talented.
It is that
winemakers.
like era of all that, that's first real great classes coming out of UC Davis. All those winemakers, Mary Edwards, and Jeff Baker was in that crowd. So that was actually there's a connection from Mount Eden to the Moon Mountain. When the Chalone Group and Dick Graff started Carmenet, they took Mount Eden clone Cabernet to the top of the mountain there. That was on the like what they called the Miami block.
And that cab at Mount Eden is from Margaux. Like
it's from Emmett Rixford and La Cuesta, which he got it from Margaux. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so that goes all the way.
Yeah,
La Cuesta is this tiny little, that's like one of those ultimate unicorn wines that people in the Santa Cruz Mountains go nuts talking about. I never had La Cuesta and, probably not going to get to. If anybody has any, just drop me a line. I'd
or any
love
Chateau
to try
Reyes.
it. It sounds fun.
Any Chateau Reyes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe get the La Cuesta cab before we get the Chateau Reyes. I looked online at Chateau Reyes prices, Brian.
That's not,
I got you 3 bottles of Delmas.
I haven't worked that hard.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work that hard.
Yeah. I would love to try Chateau Reyes. I know are we just going to go through a list of wines?
Yeah,
bring it on DRC for me. I mean, I hear it's okay, but
it's overrated.
Yeah. That I don't really care about. I've had my fill of Echazot and Romanée Conti, but fucking Reyes. Fuck Pinot. Give me some good Grenache, son.
Totally. Sounds good to me, man. That's right. You're all Ronies. That's
so
right.
You were up there during COVID?
Yeah. So what happened is, we went through this first year, and then Reed comes back and Sophie comes back, and I realized we had to let this thing breathe. One of the things that people that love Mount Eden wines always point to is the aging profile. So the ageability, right? And so it got to a point where it really seemed like the only way to do honor and respect what Mount Eden is to also let the story and the film also go through aging as well. so that you could actually experience what happens over the passage of time. And so that became one of the like guiding lights for the film, is really wanted to explore the development, especially of, you know, Reed and Sophie, who were young people, as they, you know, develop over this 7-year period, to see that transition. And so, you know, we would actually only go up and film like once or twice a year. It wasn't like we kept going up the entire time.
Yeah,
we
you were
filmed
camping
very heavily in that first year. And then we would come and check in. And it becomes an interesting thing with making a documentary film about living people, because it's always so hard to find an ending. You know that you sort of are going to choose a somewhat arbitrary ending. I mean, they keep going and their story continues. They're all still alive and doing their stuff. And so it's super hard to be able to find a framing device to be able to make sense as to why are we stopping at this point in time. And you have to choose like an inflection moment. And I think a lot of documentaries really struggle with that. Yeah. I know a lot of great documentaries that just like, it's great. And then it's just like, it sort of cuts
Here's
to
the
black,
budget ran out and we had to go to production.
They just put like, you know, a couple sentences up of like, yeah, Jeffrey's still out there making wine. And like, you know, they just sort of give you the heads up as to what everybody's doing. And you're like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And so we really wanted to try and find some semblance of an ending to this thing. And we got lucky. It actually, life did intervene and it did happen. We were given this framing device to be able to consider this story and these people's lives through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Is Jeffrey still out there making wine?
He is. Yeah. Jeffrey is still out there making wine. I mean, he's definitely taken a huge step back. He's the, you know, winemaker emeritus, I believe is what they officially call him. But dude, Jeffrey is still always there for the assemblage and does, you know, plenty of press. But, you know, Jeffrey's now, he's semi-retired. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a true American viticulturist winemaker.
Semi-retired.
Semi.
Totally. They go in the halftime joke. They went from like 90 hours a week to 45 hours a week.
Totally. He gets to pick and choose the stuff that he wants to be involved in, right? Totally.
What do you guys think of the Chardonnay?
It's delicious. Right? It is fantastic.
Yeah. 2021.
Yeah.
So these were both vintages that you would have been
filming
there in the process, 2019 and 2021, right?
We finished filming in 2021.
Okay.
2019, yeah, we definitely filmed for that. I got to film the harvest of this Cabernet Sauvignon, the 2019. That's right before COVID. That is a super good wine. Yeah, the Chardonnay is like really, really well known.
I want to tell you one more thing that I really loved is that right in the middle of the...
You know that part where the guy does that thing? That was awesome.
In the middle of the film, you have, first of all, great fucking music.
Yeah. There you go.
What was the guy's name? Alex
So
something?
his name is Alex Kelly.
Alex Kelly.
Yeah.
Great job, Alex Kelly.
Yeah, he lives
enjoyed it.
Mill Valley.
Yeah.
That was one of the hardest parts of the entire production. Alex and I had to like work so hard to be able to get that music, but he's such an amazing musician. I've worked with him for years. And I rode him very, very hard. We definitely were at times like, okay, that's enough. But I think it shows at the end. I mean, Alex played almost every single one of those instruments.
Yeah.
There was a flautist who came in, and then, 2 singers, but everything else Alex had to play, man. And he's a classically trained pianist and cellist.
Yeah.
Is those are his axes.
Gotcha.
As they were. But he can play anything, man.
So there's a part in this middle where the music is really building and it's like a celebration of the family. And you do this thing where you show in different aspects. You've got like the harvest going and then like the dinner's going. And then it's like all the fun, amazing, crazy time of winery life. And you do this thing where you show the mannerism or the face of the father with the the son and the daughter, and it made me like laugh, like lightheartedly laugh so hard to see both the father and the son make that like little frowny face.
Isn't it amazing?
It was so good. I was just like, I loved that. I loved it.
Dude, that was like one of my favorite things to find in the edit room, because it's like, you know, when you make a movie over like 7 years, you have so much footage. Like you have no idea. It's like trying to do like an assemblage from like, I don't know, 5,000 plots or something. I don't know. I can't even make up a number. And it's so weird, but I knew, you know, like you're going through all the footage and you just watch through it over and over again and all different mentalities. And I knew that I, you know, was looking at that expression that Jeffrey was making. And I was like, dude, I know Reed made that same exact frowny face.
Good. It was so
and
good.
And those are like, you know, 3 years apart.
Yeah.
And we just captured those moments, and then we got to juxtapose it together. And it
made my heart smile. I loved it.
That is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that you appreciated that, because
maybe it's just
really
the mom
fun.
in me, but I was just like, so cute.
It's so true though. But it's like, those are the interesting things about families, is that like nobody knows where that comes from. Is it like a learned expression? Is it like a genetic thing that you did? I don't really know. But is it like a shared worldview? I don't know. But we all do those kind of things. And those are some of my favorite things to do in documentaries, is like study people's mannerisms and the way that people interact with space. Because it's like, it's such a cool thing to be able to explore. That's why the film has a lot of slow motion. And for me, slow motion is this really cool opportunity to be able to explore movement through space and time. And so in particular, in like working with the vineyards, it's really cool to see it in slow motion, because when you see somebody that, you know, does this day in and day out, when you see the vineyard crew work, dude, the grafting.
Oh yeah, the grafting.
Like watching that
was beautiful.
Yeah, those guys graft. It's so
an
beautiful.
Amazing thing to watch. It's a ballet.
It is.
Yeah,
that's Jeffrey's favorite part of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he just, I mean, he's like, I'd never seen anybody like, you know, film grafting.
Yeah.
It is.
I've tried with my iPhone. It's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's like you gotta do it with a proper camera and really be thinking about it.
That's when I was watching that, I was thinking this is really important for people to see, like the farming at that level. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand what exactly the work that gets put in, and you see how long it takes just to do that one thing.
Yeah.
And that old Heston cat, that old Heston crawler. Got a couple of those out there.
Yeah.
The
guy's hands are just all bandaged up, his fingers, and you can see that this guy's been doing this for a while.
So this is when we were at the conference, the DTC conference, and we had the interaction with the, you know, consumer. I felt like there were so many people out there that were like, I want an organic, regenerative wine where they treat the workers amazing, but I only want to pay like $30 for it. And I was just like, you're insane. Like that does not exist. Like in no way can you support the people who are putting the work into this wine if you're only going to pay $30 for it. So thank you for drawing attention to what actually happens when you're making important wine.
And suckering and planting and
all by hand
and pressing. And,
hanging off the top of a mountain.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a really interesting storyline that pops up in the film with Andreas, who, you know, is the vineyard manager, and Reed and their relationship. And so Andreas, you know, literally got there when Reed was, you know, 6 months old. And so he has watched Reed develop over his entire life. And you sort of see this experience where they have this sort of surrogate, you know, father-son relationship, which was so powerful to be able to experience that, because, you know, Andreas had been, you know, he had come from Mexico and got there right when Reed was born. And so he, you know, had always sort of known him and watched that development, and then really, really, you know, spends a lot of time and effort to teach Reed and figure out how to communicate with Reed in a manner that works for him, because that's one of the things that's super interesting about work and labor in particular. Everybody learns differently. And for me, like, one of the things I was interested in, I'm terrible with my hands. I could never be a viticulturalist or a winemaker because, like, I seriously can't do these things. Are so dumb. And it's like, I'm looking at my hands. It's all audio, but I'm looking at my hands. They are so dumb. And it's like, you know, when my wife and I first got together, she would call me like the DIY disaster, because anytime I do a DIY thing, it'd be a total disaster. And so I think that as an artist gives me this amazing appreciation for people that are really good at craft and working with their hands. And so I also love seeing the different ways that people learn how to work with their hands and how to work with something, you know?
Because Reed's mom was talking about how when he was younger, his dad would just basically tell him to do something and then leave him.
Yep.
But then you saw with the vineyard manager where they were sitting there together working hand in hand, and he was watching over him, showing him how to do things. So he was almost like he had two dads that had two different styles of showing him how to do stuff.
100%. And I mean, I think that's also one of the beautiful things about being able to have a commitment to your vineyard crew, to be able to keep the same people on staff for, you know, God knows how many years. I mean,
game changer,
right? It's a game changer. And that, you know, speaks to sort of your appreciation of A, being able to treat people right, but B, I think it shows in your end product, right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's so much better than just, you know, basically hiring the company to basically bring different people in to be able to just take care of the labor.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about, there's ownership. There's like, there's, you know, emotional engagement from Andres. He really, really appreciates the development of those vineyards and the work that he's done. And he can see the output of that work.
And of Reed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Were you editing as you were going through the years, or did you wait until the end and get it all together and say, what the fuck do I have here?
A mixture of all of them. I have a really weird editing process where it's like, I was lost for years. I'm not even going to pretend I wasn't. Like, there was a point where my wife had to like intervene and be like, okay, you gotta like, we gotta wrap this up and like get this thing back on the rails and make it into something. Because it's, you know, editing for me, like I actually studied linguistics in university, and so that's what my degree is in. And so I love language, and I love the way that people use language. And so a lot of my editing is actually sort of doing, you know, very conversational style interviews with people, and then taking all of that footage and editing it to help them sort of piece together their argument in a more efficient way, because we're all horribly inefficient with our usage of language when we're just like flying off of the, you know, off the hip. Right. And so a lot of what I do is actually being able to understand what somebody is trying to, you know, convey in their argument and restructuring the way that they actually use the language to be able to make it a more effective thing. It's like a speech writer, but you're doing it all in post. So I do a lot of that, and then it becomes challenging because that's a very like nuanced, in the weeds kind of a thing, to be able to get the big structure part of it. Right. So, you know, I, you know, got a producer, came on board. This was in, you know, 2019 actually. And we brought on board, an assistant editor who helped get the very first assembly, because an assembly, the way you do it, it's actually not all that different from assembling a wine. If you have a lot of different plots or whatever that are all vinified separately, you have to take all of the pieces and just throw it on a timeline, and it's way too long and it's messy, and you don't get to see any of the like B-roll, which is all the, you know, beautiful imagery that you will see in the end. It's just like literally sound bites of pieces taken from the conversations. And you have to like start with something. And that part was so hard to be able to, get my head around what is the overarching, like what is the through line with this thing. And so, Emmanuel did that piece with me, and that really helped being able to now give me structure. Once I had all the pieces on a timeline to work with, then I could go in and start cutting away and shaping something, because that's more my process. I'm very good at reworking something over and over again and shaping it into what it's supposed to be. But the initial pass is super, super hard.
Where did the film end up? Besides, I know it was at some film festivals, and then I watched it myself on YouTube. But it's
cool.
Open on streaming services too?
So
it looks great on the Vimeo link.
On
It
Vimeo,
did, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So we have distribution with Gravitas Ventures. The film is available to rent anywhere that, you would rent movies from home. So whether you rent it off at YouTube or Apple TV or Amazon or Fandango, whatever, it's available to rent all that. The easiest place to see it is edenfilm.info. That's our website. And then there's direct links from on that page to every one of those, streaming services. But I mean, basically anywhere that you would rent, it's available to see. We're doing screenings. It's so fun to be able to do in-person screening events, because it's such an experiential film. Like you see it in the theater, you think the music is cool. It's so immersive when you're actually in the theater environment. Like it has like the sound design is a huge component to it as well. It's got a 5.1 mix, which means that the sound is fully immersive. When you're in the harvest stuff, the tractors like drive around behind you and all this kind of stuff, and you can hear like leaf rustling on the back right, and then in the front there's footsteps, and so it's such an immersive experience. It's really fun to be able to do those.
You got some of those coming up?
We just finished a couple. I don't have any to fully tell you, but you check our website. We always put them up there. Yeah.
What do you think of the cab?
Oh shoot, are we on the cab?
We're on the cab.
I was still on the shard.
It tastes like the Santa Cruz Mountains. I mean, you see the shots of the vineyard and the forest that surrounds it, and it just like that comes through strongly. As much as anything else.
The savoriness,
totally,
and the acidity is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know? I think it's the only AVA where it's determined by whether you're above the fog line or not.
Elevation. It's the elevation based.
Isn't that weird?
I think it's 400 feet is your cutoff point.
Moon Mountain District. Different reason.
But
that's
yeah,
rock.
there was no rock, or sometimes
exactly
it's water.
Yeah.
Whether it's streams or whatever. But yeah, I don't know of another one where it's literally if you are above the fog line.
That's right. Yeah.
Ellie describes really well in the movie about the Santa Cruz Mountain Cab, about how it's savoriness, it's not fruitiness, and that's why it goes really well with the food. I think she does a great job.
It's not great fruit, but it's got some Indian spice in it.
It totally does.
Yeah.
It always has the spice, and the acidity is one of the things that people always point to. It's always fresh. It's not like, it's not, you don't ever get into the stewed fruit territory with this, and that freshness always kind of brings it back. And I love it because it's like you can always sort of taste the wild vegetation around it. There is sort of that wild chaparral around there, Totally.
Did you end up?
You love that stuff, right?
You got some of this at home? Were you able to?
Oh yeah,
get a little off the hill.
Yeah. Oh, totally, man. I got some.
I kept going back there for 7 years.
I know, man. I kept going back. I've got.
Did you get paid in wine?
I have some one. I mean, I have. I think it's the 2000, which was the last old vine Cabernet vintage that they did. They actually had to pull those vines up after the 2000 vintage. They used to have an old vine reserve that was the original plantings, I believe, that Martin Ray actually planted. And that wine is so good, man. I still haven't opened that one, so what are we, 2026?
Wow, that would have been great to bring today, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know it would have been.
Like the present, Chris.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Are you a wine guy? Have you you talked about when you've started working with the Santa Cruz Mountain wine growers to do their promotional work? You weren't really a wine. Are you you talk like a wine guy now? You sound like a wine guy.
I feel like I'm a wine guy now. This process
wineify you?
It totally did. Yeah. It's and the thing for me that I love about wine is the timeline. And again, so I grew up in Silicon Valley. I grew up in Los Gatos. And there's a tendency, especially in Silicon Valley, for everything to be super immediate. Like, I'm going to get off this podcast and there's multiple emails that have been sent to me that people are going to be pissed that I haven't responded to, even though they're literally 35 minutes old or whatever, right? And I understand that. That's the modern world that we live in. I mean, you guys have it the same. Everybody does. But when I started to walk around vineyards with people like Jeffrey Patterson, he thinks about things in terms of decades. And that is it was so refreshing for me to be able to see that, because it's for him, if you're going to replant a vineyard, you're only going to do it once in your lifetime. That thing has got to outlast you. And so it's what is the timeline of that? You got to pull those vines up. You got to let it sit fallow probably for a couple of years, especially in the Santa Cruz Mountains, but I'm assuming everywhere. You got to think about, water allocation. Maybe you wanted to, replant in, 2022, but it was too dry of a year. We didn't have the water that we could actually throw at it. So we got to wait another year. And then, you got to plant your root stock in there, and then you got to wait a year to be able to graft it over. And then once you graft it over, what are you 5-6 years before you even get to the first vintage that is actually going to show character? You're looking at another 20 some odd years until it gets into old vine territory. And so it's you're looking at 30 some odd years before you even know whether you made the right decision. And that's so interesting to me in a world that's so immediate. And we got to make all of these split decisions that are so fundamentally important. And good wine takes time. And I love that. I'm a slow person. Hence I spent 7 years making this film, and so I love that aspect of it. Yeah.
What are you working on now?
So I have a new film. I got really interested in, the vineyard labor. And so I also am interested in agriculture. And so I've got a new film that we just started filming sort of the halfway through last year with an organic farmer down in Watsonville who grows largely, strawberries and flowers. He's got about 200 acres, and he's a Mexican immigrant. Came here about 40 years ago. And, he has such an interesting perspective on farming, on America and its cycles and what it's going through right now, and the significance of working that land, and also making sure that all the people that you hire that work that land with you are on the same page and equally passionate. He's trying to get to a level that you find a lot in wine, I would say, which is sort of the premium product. And it's very, very challenging when you're working with something like strawberries, which are largely seen as a commodity. Most people don't know what varietal of strawberry they're actually consuming. Right. He's literally, growing, 10 to 15 different kinds of strawberries and trying to train the consumer to be hey, I like Albion, or I like, Mar de Bois. And they all have different, flavors. They have different flavor profiles. It's just like wine. And largely because we have transitioned towards globalization and being focused on having that fruit be able to travel and, have as much shelf life as possible.
Yeah.
We are sacrificing quality, flavor, and texture in order to do that. And so he, literally doesn't sell it anywhere that he can't, get his truck there within, like a 4-hour cycle so that you can pick the day before. It doesn't sit in the cooler. It's on the shelves available for the consumer the next day. And I'm really fascinated by that. Cool. And he's just a really interesting guy. Like, he's so funny. Javier is like just asking for a camera and an opportunity to be able to tell you. He says shit like, America's an enchilada. It's like, why would, right? Like right now I'm hooked. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what is this supposed to mean? And he's like, it's made up of all the different sauces. There's all the different, textures and everything has to work together. So it's like, you don't want America to just be all white or, all black or all Asian or all Mexican. That's stupid, man. That's not what America is made. America has to be a blending of all the different cultures together. And he just talks like that. He thinks like that.
Javier for president.
Yeah.
I know, right? It's like, dude, I'm telling you.
Enchiladas for everybody.
Enchiladas for everybody.
America is
everybody
an
loves
enchilada.
enchilada.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I made enchiladas last night.
Totally. That's fucking great, man.
Lunchtime,
Bring back
I'm
the
hungry.
enchilada.
Green sauce.
Totally. I know.
If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
So, easiest one, my company is called Nomadic Bear Productions. So you can, reach out to us through our website. You can see all of our different promotional stuff that we do. So, we do all different kinds of promotional stuff for wineries. We do it for nonprofits. We do it for companies. You can also reach out through, edenfilm.info, which is our website for the film. And we'd just be happy to talk to anybody that's interested in this stuff.
No, I think it's not just because of my family, an incredibly timely film. If you're somebody who cares about wine, not just Mount Eden Vineyards, it's this time where there's a lot of Jeffrey Pattersons, in their ends of their careers, and this time when the wine business is tough, figuring out how to navigate all of this stuff. So it's that same story in different ways is playing out in a lot of different places all over the world, really.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it's go to the thing, figure out where to watch it, go watch it.
Yeah, it was a great film.
Yeah.
It really captured my attention in a way that not a lot of things can these days.
Especially
like
wine
at no
movies.
point did I, at no point did I
Don't
reach
get me
for my
started
phone.
on that category. Yeah.
I never reached for my phone to be like, oh, maybe I'll look at Instagram for like. It was just like fully like watching. Like, what are they gonna say? What is gonna happen? Like, I liked it a lot. It caught my attention. It was beautiful to watch. It was amazing to listen to, and the story was interesting.
More of that, please. Right?
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, what is interesting about wine is all the stories that come with it. It's like, a wine is only worth the story that you can actually tell about it. Like if you're going to pour a great wine for somebody, it doesn't mean anything until you can say, oh, well, I got it for, this particular person on this particular date or whatever, or this is what this vintage was like, or this is why this matters in this particular place. And it's a wonderful thing for storytelling because it's not a good wine. It's not a commodity. They're all different, man. If you have the, 2021 Mount Eden Chardonnay, it's going to be totally different than the 2020 or the 2022. And some people, may like one more than the other. That's all totally cool. But they all are expressions of a particular year and a particular way that something was made. And it's like, I love being able to tell people the stories about this stuff. Like I love being able to like tell you what it feels like up at Mount Eden. Like, like the dust. Like that's one of the things I love about that film. We tried to really highlight how dusty it is. Winemaking is dusty, bro.
You did it.
It is.
I felt I was like worried for the dogs breathing all that dust, honestly. I was like, that's not good for those puppies.
It's not good for the dogs. It's not good for your cameras.
It's definitely
sure
not.
equipment
My
was
DP is
dusty.
pretty pissed,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's all right. He likes, Isaiah loves to, go wild and
So
rustic
that
with
season,
it.
my husband likes to say it's like walking on the moon. Like when you take a step and it's just like poof.
Oh, I know.
Are we
It's so
about to
beautiful.
walk on the moon again? I didn't really catch that last night.
No, we're
Okay.
going around the dark side.
Oh,
Yeah, we do
clearly.
get to visit the dark side, though.
Right.
We
Yeah.
do.
Which I guess has never been done. For some strange reason, I feel that
They've
that's
orbited
weird.
the moon before.
I know, but I guess,
This is like
Only
really a
on the
thing.
sunny
We've
side.
never found the dark
the moon's
side.
flat. So they went around.
It's just a big slice of cheese, isn't it? It's like,
It's all in a sound studio somewhere.
Yeah,
in
totally.
LA.
Stanley Kubrick's still alive, still making this
Brian,
stuff.
you
So
got
it's
me,
okay.
man. That was
This is
good.
laying the groundwork for
Oh,
the
boy.
next landing, then the space station, then the trip to Mars,
Yeah.
which they said by 2028. So that's fairly soon.
Oh my god.
That's like tomorrow, dude.
I know. It's
Super,
it's
super.
not
Put a man on a moon. Put a man in an apartment. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Put a man in a job.
Put a
Louis
man in a
CK
doctor's
quote,
office
but-
without a giant bill.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's. God, I was reading like more Californians are more concerned about healthcare costs than housing even at this point. It's the number one concern.
I'm also worried about
Right?
fuel prices.
I mean, I am too, but no, you hit the nail on the head with healthcare. I could.
Get that Wegovy down, yo.
Yeah. Make it accessible.
I'm paying
man.
what?
Yeah. Make America some enchiladas.
yeah,
Yeah,
make
I
American
know.
enchiladas
It's
again.
American enchiladas.
That's what I'm
Everybody will
talking
love
about.
us again. That'll do. That's the goodwill ambassador route. We just
love
get to
it.
make.
Are we ordering
enchiladas.
Almaden now? What are we doing?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
we're
That's pretty far from here. We got a really good taco truck down the street.
Yeah.
And it is during the week, so we can also get smash burgers, yo. So, thanks for making the trip.
Thank you
and
so much for
sharing
having
the
me.
story, and thanks for doing the movie.
Thank you.
I mean, it all touched us because I think we have all been in. To us, it was familiar in some ways when you're walking through vineyards, but I think it's cool for other people to see, especially like I said, the level of the farming that it takes
Sure.
to do something like this.
When
It's,
it's so much of it is hand done too. I
Yeah.
love that part.
Yeah.
The Santa Cruz Mountains has
All
to
of
be
it.
done
Yeah.
by hand harvested. Like
Yeah,
you can barely even
yeah.
get a tractor there.
Yeah, the tractor's not to like the tractor.
It's like that tractor mostly just gets worked on.
The tractor
Yeah.
is
It's
that
broken down.
right, and it's just throw
It's like
the
a
grapes in
elevated
as you
mule
go.
kind of thing. Yeah, totally. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Jeffrey spends a lot of time working on his tractor too. He loves work on the tractor because that's one of those other funny things about being in the Santa Cruz Mountains. So like your tractor breaks down. Who do you get to come out to be able to service that
Yeah.
thing? You could get somebody from up here, from up in Sonoma, or you get somebody from Salinas. Both of those are 2 hours away from you.
Not
man.
a lot of Saratoga tractor repairmen.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is not a thing, bro.
Can you task rabbit that?
Seriously. DoorDash some tractor
Yeah, I'm
parts.
gonna definitely. I'm sure you could get some
Dude,
kind of a
they're
drone
gonna
delivery
figure
of a
that
new
out
tractor now.
Uber tractors.
Yeah, Uber tractors. That-
Waymo tractor. Oh wait, they
Yeah.
tried that. It's like that company's gone.
yeah. He whose name we shall not mention. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right, what do you guys got going on? Anything?
Gamay 2025 Gamay
Is
has
it
been
labeled?
released.
Is it labeled?
It is labeled. It is ready to
How
go.
much is it?
$50 a bottle.
Steel.
And right now I'm running a special that if
Yeah.
you get a case
Yeah. Of the Gamay.
of the Gamay, it's only $40 a bottle. So
Wait,
it's
how much do you
480
have of it?
bucks. 51 cases.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Gotta get on it.
So DM me, email me, call me, whatever, and I'll give you that special discount
Well, tell them
code.
how to get it. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can get me on Instagram at Danielle Makes Wine or Jean de Bois Wine.
Cool.
That's the easiest, and just DM me and I can get you
I think
hooked up.
that was our favorite wine that we tried
Of
a
that
couple weeks
Gamay
ago
was,
or whatever. Of
yeah.
all
the
the
whole
whole
of those
releases.
19
It was
wines we
just-
tried
it
that day.
stood out from all the other wines for sure.
Yeah.
A table full of Grenache, Zinfandel, and Cabernet.
I know. We were like,
And then
"Oh,
there's
this is
that
fucking great."
sweet fruity Gamay. Totally. Yeah. I love Gamay.
Yeah. So that's
I like the
going.
transformation of Chris McGilvray from guy who got hired to work at a vineyard association to talking about his Gamay preferences.
I do. Oh yeah, dude. We could talk like serious wines. I love Gamay. That's like my wife's favorite.
There you
actually.
go.
She loves California Gamay. So there you
Well, I have to give you my card because it sounds
Yes.
like I have the best of both worlds for you guys. I got a great Mourvedre and a great Gamay
go.
for
I'm
you.
into it. I'm into it.
And then we did our spring release. So mailing newsletter went out. If you want to be a part of our mailing list, again, just DM me your email and I'll get you on that. That also has the discount code for the Gamay. So, yeah. That's Jean de Bois news.
Jean de Bois news.
Jean de Bois.
16600 news. I don't know. There's always something.
There's always something. We'll be at Region, right?
I think with
we're both going to be at Region.
As this releases, you'll be there that night with Cameron playing music.
Yeah. So live music, Acre Pizza, pouring some fun stuff. I don't play anything.
He plays corkscrew.
Fair enough.
Decanter.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Wine shack guy. Yeah. That's fair.
But we'll be at Region Wine Bar in Sebastopol. Sam's going to be there on the 3rd. I'll be there on the 10th, pouring some fun stuff. They have some fun stuff, but then we're going to bring some little bonus.
We're coming to Tulsa. If you're in Tulsa, we'll be there for the Philbrook. Sorbet LA tickets are available at KNL website.
So you go to KNL Wine Merchant's website and buy the tickets.
Yeah, we have the link is on the Sorbet Wine website as well, but it's through KNL and their Eventbrite. So KNL's got them. Sorbet LA May 2nd at Culver City KNL Wines.
Cool. Come on down. Go to Disneyland. Bring the kids.
That's what I'm doing. You'll see me there.
Really? You're gonna bring the kids and then go to Disneyland?
Yeah.
There you go.
For JoJo's 3rd birthday.
Don't let Althea hear this.
Just go to like Little Osaka. It's like right there.
All my parents are bringing us. It's gonna be fun.
Who doesn't want to go see Mitch McConnell wandering around by himself at Disneyland?
What?
You didn't see this?
No. Dude, they let Mitch
Brian has Tuesdays and Wednesdays off, so he knows all the things that happened while we were working.
What was Mitch doing? Just
I don't know, but he's like not married, doesn't have kids, and he's at Disneyland.
Was he having one of his episodes?
No, you're talking about Lindsey Graham.
Thank you. It was Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. We know what Lindsey Graham was doing.
Was he cruising?
And he had like a little fairy torch in his hand. I don't know. I think he was trying to figure out how to corral children into a van. Did this get too political?
No.
We're going to get more bad reviews.
Oh, wait. Also for the Gamay deal, free shipping.
If you're over 80 and a pedophile.
$1 shipping. $1 shipping.
Where did that van go?
So there you go.
$1 shipping.
What was the end destination?
$1 shipping on the Gamay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
And that's through April.
Thank you for cutting right through that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, bringing us back.
Good job.
Back.
Nobody
Back to
likes
Earth.
paying for shit.
Get some Gamay, son.
We opened the dark side, and we're coming in for a landing.
Coming back for some nice Gamay.
Yeah, we got the back roads of Space Mountain there, and that.
All right, well, we got people coming into Taste
dark side of Space
and
Mountain.
May 13th, if you're in New York, Flatiron Wines, Moon Mountain District, consumer tasting.
Oh, cool.
With wines available to purchase at the Flatiron Wine place. Hopefully I can say that. I'll have to consult with the legal now.
Too late. It's out there. Yeah.
You're ending it? Subscribe, review. Thanks, Chris McGilvray.
Yeah,
yes,
thanks,
thank
brother.
you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's awesome.
You bet.